Hi folks, welcome to my channel. You know, it's been 5 years since I found out I had that stupid tumor in my head, and I thought it was about time that I gave you all an update. And this update will of course be placed in the public playlist labeled Stupid Tumor Updates here on my channel. There's actually 2 public playlists here on this channel, all dedicated to my stupid tumor. If that's the sort of thing you're into, go check it out. I felt like it was a good time to give this update due to the recent gap in my uploading of videos. You see, that's going to happen once in a while, and maybe after watching today's video, you'll understand. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and if I ever plan to stop doing this stuff, I'll let you know. Because doing this has actually been pretty cathartic for me. Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again, this tumor that hit me is a rare tumor. The effects it's left on me have often left me frustrated, but also feeling alone. And one of my big hopes when I started making these videos was that I'd reach others that felt the same as me, and perhaps we're going through the same stuff. So in today's update, I plan on touching on my issues, the disabilities, all these things I've been dealing with, and what progress or not I've made up until now through the years. I'll also get a little more in detail about my experience thus far after having an acoustic neuroma. I'll go over a bit of how it was, how it is now, and at the end of this video, we'll talk a little bit about my future. If you clicked on this video because you're dealing with an acoustic neuroma or the aftermath of one, please shout yourself out in the comments. I love hearing from my fellow acoustic neuroma warriors. Let us all know how you're doing. But for now, let's get into my update. If you're new here, you may be wondering what happened to my face. So let's start there. This stupid tumor that I had built itself around all of the nerves that lead to your face like this. And in order to get that stupid tumor out, they had to scrape on all of the nerves leading to my face, leaving them damaged, leaving me with partial facial paralysis. I've mentioned repeatedly in my videos how slow moving any improvement at all that I've had on this side of this face has been, but there has been improvements. To my delight, quite often confirmed by comments from you, my viewers. Those of you that have been watching my videos and following my journey, you know I mentioned that directly after the operation, I came out with this whole side of my face pretty much hanging. I couldn't close that eye at all. This side of my mouth, from about here to here, I had no control over it. This was all numb, felt hard and heavy. Drooling, not being able to close the eye, very annoying. But where we are now, I mean, it's definitely trying to blink. This eye is definitely trying to blink with this eye. It doesn't get it all the time, but a whole hell of a lot more than I was a few years ago. A little side effect of my face struggling to blink constantly was I ended up with some nerves here in my neck reacting wrong. You see, because I strained to try to make this part of my eye push up, make this part push down, all these nerves that were all damaged around it. I strained here, and for a period of time I was having some really annoying stinging pain here from this. I'm happy to report that I have less neck pain. Again, those of you that followed me, you know I think it was 2 Botox treatments in my neck, and then I gave up on that therapy because my insurance company made it incredibly complicated. But I became very conscious of what I was doing. I try to be very conscious of what I'm doing with my face during the day and not to strain myself. It's difficult, but I'm working on it. One thing I found really interesting is it's really clear to me now after all these years that caffeine and stress affect this. I've noticed a great example is making these videos. When I drink a lot of coffee on that day before I film these videos and I'm watching myself in editing, I'm seeing less of this eye trying to on its own blink in sync with this eye, less of it. Same thing when I'm stressed. I realize when I get fired up about something, say I'm ranting to a friend, complaining about something shocking that happened, I'm realizing the more that I'm feeling, for example, like an anger feeling, but just generally like a lot of passion, I realize the more I'm doing it, this eye stops blinking. I just find that really interesting. It took me a few years to really be able to positively say what things in my life and things I were doing that were directly affecting the disabilities, the issues I'm dealing with, and how, but I feel confident after all these years. Caffeine, stress. I seem to have more control over moving these difficult parts in my face when I'm relaxed. I'm pleased with the progress I made. I don't drool as much, and my eye is trying to blink. I can go to sleep and close my eyes, so it's not so creepy anymore. I can't lie to you all. I hate my neck. I hate looking at my neck. I think it's ugly, but what are you gonna do? Looks are really not that important. And I really don't know at this point if we'll see any more progress in any of this. I mean, 5 years? If any of you watching this video know anything about facial nerves and them healing and regrowing and regenerating and coming back to work, I know they're slow moving, but if you think there's a chance I could still see some sort of progress in this, let me know in a comment. Moving on to the ear. Not only did this stupid tumor effectively crush the balance organ on this side of my head, but in the process of removal, well, I woke up after that operation to find I was deaf in that ear, with a constant, annoying ringing. So long story short, it's looking like I'm deaf in that ear, and I'm gonna stay deaf in that ear. And I'm highly doubtful I'll ever get rid of this horrible ringing. But what have I learned over all these years? That when my atmosphere is calm and quiet, that ringing is not so severe. And stress and noise, for sure, trigger it. Or antagonize it, like make it worse. Like I can see clearly now, after years of dealing with this, that, for example, on the few occasions that maybe I go and I meet with a few people and I get in perhaps intense conversation for just an hour or a few hours, well, not only am I exhausted after all of that, but generally that night and sometimes even into the next day, the ringing will be more and like louder. Oh, it drives me crazy. But the best, and I'll say it again, the only gift I really got from having this stupid tumor in my head is I have the best sleeps of my life. I sleep like a baby, especially if I lay on my good ear, blocking out all noise. It's the most beautiful silence. And as someone that was always very restless and never really slept much or well, this is truly a gift. And I think it's kind of cool that something that became a real big pain in the ass in my life actually did give me at least one good thing. I think it's time that we talk about the V, vertigo. So the whole reason that I found out that I had a tumor in my head was because I woke up one morning and I felt hungover and I couldn't walk right. It was like I was on a boat. Long story short, I got an MRI and they found that big ass tumor in my head. But I was really surprised post-op. After they took that tumor out of my head, my vertigo was worse. And I'll tell you, it's really been something to adjust to. Living your life feeling like you're at the very least kinda on a boat. It definitely was worse right after that operation. And I'll say for like the first year or so. But at some point, it wasn't as hard and as constant. But at this point, 5 years later, I see clear improvement. And oh boy, I am really appreciative of that. I feel like up to this point, even when I'm dealing with feeling like gravity is pulling me down, I have, well, essentially learned how to catch myself really quick. I have thigh muscles of steel. And on good days where it's not making me so like super nauseous or anything, I just kind of go with it. It's just my life now. I bump into things sometimes more than I used to. I mean, I always was clumsy. You know, it's kind of frustrating. The thing I think about vertigo that I feel like a lot of people don't understand, like, I feel like they don't understand what that means. Number one, it's a disability that you don't really see until I trip and fall, you know what I mean? And I feel like if somebody talks about vertigo or I say I have it, you know, it's like, it's always like oversimplified as constant dizziness. But I want to make it clear, if you know someone that tells you that they have vertigo or that they get vertigo, listen, like that means like migraine-like feelings behind your eyes sometimes, and I battle with a constant nauseous feeling. Not to mention headaches on these days where I feel like I'm on a boat and maybe it's rocking a little bit more. So before I went and got my operation, as I already stated, I think the best way to describe it is I felt like I was hungover or even still drunk. And I stumbled a little bit, but when I woke up after my operation, The first time I wanted to get out of bed, I really thought I was going to fall flat on my face. For at least the first few months, even just sitting up in bed made me feel like my world was spinning. And then little by little over time, for me, it turned into really kind of just feeling like I'm constantly just on a boat. So, I mean, that's tolerable. It's exhausting, but it's tolerable. And sometimes I can giggle at it. I feel like now I'm at a point where I have like pretty clear good days and bad days. And kind of often I can predict when the bad days are coming. They generally come when the clouds start coming. I hated the rain before I found out I had a stupid tumor in my head, and I hate it more now. For me personally, I think one of the most frustrating things about vertigo is the fact that the medication that one gets prescribed for it doesn't really feel like a solution, if I'm completely honest. You see, it's the same medication that one gets, for example, for seasickness. They make you very, very sleepy. And I mean, having vertigo, having my body constantly kind of catching me all day long, even if it's little, that's also exhausting. So it's kind of frustrating that it feels like the only real relief I can get from it is to take that pill, and then I go to sleep for like 4 hours and I wake up feeling foggy-headed like a zombie afterwards. I would say at this point, for about a few months, I'm trying really hard to just not take those damn pills. When I have my bad days, I am really trying hard to just give up, call it a day, make myself comfy in bed, and do something on my computer. Ride it out till I feel better again. You see, on my good days, as I would describe them, I wake up, maybe I don't feel dizzy at all, but generally if I do anything, or up and down is the enemy, but any kind of movement, on my good days, maybe I'll go through the day and feel kind of like I'm on a boat, totally tolerable. But on my bad days, I feel like there's a vice on the back of my head, just slowly being tightened and pressing my skull tighter on my brain. I have migraine-like symptoms anywhere I look. It kind of hurts behind the eyes. And on my bad days, sometimes I can tell from the moment I wake up, because I'll do things like common is I bump into the counter, walk a little bit into the doorway, like hit my shoulder on the doorway, my elbow, even my hand, like over and undershoot going to grab the handle. Like I'm just a mess on my bad days. But I'm happy to report I really do feel like I'm having more good days than I did before. Even on my good days, but definitely on my bad days, I still experience moments of absolute exhaustion. Like, I'm telling you, exhaustion like I never understood the word before I had this stupid tumor. I just have to accept that now I just have to take more breaks. So what have I learned thus far after having vertigo for all these years? As I already stated, clouds, weather changes, rain, air pressure changes. These things are my enemy. And when they are occurring, there's a good chance that I'm going to have a skull-crushing bad day. And I shouldn't plan anything for that day. Also, I've learned in regards to my vertigo, here we go again, diet and stress have a big effect on it. This has really been a little bit of a battle, because when you feel constantly nauseous, the last thing you want to do is eat. But, for example, I'll realize if I don't eat anything come noontime, by lunchtime, I'll feel double nauseous. And my vertigo will definitely be much more clear. So I'm really, really trying hard to eat 3 meals a day, eat fairly decent, and I have to avoid stress. But I mean, you know, the most important thing I think I learned with all this shit is that all of these things have forced me to slow down. They have been forcing me to try to learn patience, which is something I really need. I still need to work on it. And now I'm being forced to. My body is forcing me to slow down. It's been incredibly frustrating. A lot of things have been really hard for me to accept, but I can say at this point that I'm pleased with where I am. I'm pleased with my improvements. Now, let's move on to some things affected by this stupid tumor that I do not enjoy talking about, but will, in hopes that they reach other people going through the same thing, just to let them know they're not alone. Having an acoustic neuroma did not give me depression, anxiety, and feelings of low self-worth. But I'll tell you what, it sure as hell didn't help. I think like many others have struggled with that kind of stuff for years, but really frustrating becoming disabled. Sometimes I feel so helpless. In the past, I was always able to hustle. In the past when things got hard, I could always do something, go, distract, find another job, hustle. But I can't do that anymore. And it really, really sucks that I feel like from the moment I became disabled, my value in this world immediately decreased. As the cost of living just keeps skyrocketing and reaching obscene levels, I'm forced to live at a bare minimum. Don't get me wrong. I know, as an American living in Germany, I'm in a much better situation here than I would be had I been in the country I was born in. And I'm damn thankful that I'm in a country that provides me with health insurance and an ability to keep a roof over my head in the way of assistance. But if I may be so bold, nothing about it is realistic in regards to what is really needed to survive, eat healthy, eat right, and, for example, heal. When I became disabled, it felt like as each month went by that I was unable to work. This system that we all live in let me know very clearly that my value was decreasing. And here when I say this system, I'm talking about this system that us all over the world are playing into. I'm not poking specifically at Germany here. I feel like this is something that's probably relatable in quite a few countries. I just shared with you all what it's like to have vertigo and feel dizzy all the time and headaches and such. So each month I couldn't work and my value was decreasing and my income was decreasing and my debt was increasing. I had to physically run around to try to seek help. I was let down by multiple offices that are supposedly set up to help people in need in my situation. I have been drowning from paperwork and debt since this stupid tumor hit me. Struggling against timetables and rules that don't seem to have been made with disabled people, for example, in mind. And after repeatedly exposing myself in what I consider an embarrassing situation in my life, my embarrassing financial situation, my embarrassing physical situation, after repeatedly exposing myself bare naked financially, I am thrown a few crumbs. And while, as I've stated repeatedly, I am so thankful for them, I can't help but mention the sad realization that I find myself thinking when I'm sitting there alone, that I have nothing, I am nothing, I can do nothing. There's nothing I can do about any of this at the moment. Sometimes that is really overwhelming and it sucks. Now, I don't want this video to get too dark, and I don't want anybody out there worrying about me. I've always been a fighter, I'm still a fighter, and I still got a little bit of fight left in me. But there's a few things I've said before in my other stupid tumor video updates that I feel still ring true and are still important to mention. I think number one would be that having a psychotherapist is the best damn thing that I got out of my health insurance since this tumor got removed from my head. Of the many, many, many doctors I've had to see because of this stupid tumor, my psychotherapist is, to me personally, the most valuable and has helped me the most. My life and body changes have quite often in this acoustic neuroma journey been too much to handle. And I definitely lost my sanity a few times trying to navigate the German system, the bureaucracy. And I am so damn thankful that I have access to a professional that can help me sort through the whole mess that became my life when I got hit with a tumor. But also help me sort through being newly disabled and how to accept it and live with it. So I'm just saying, if you're watching this video because you had an acoustic neuroma, put psychotherapist on your list. Another thing I repeatedly said that I feel like it's really important to throw into this update is I just want more people to be aware of the anxiety that can be attached to some of these disabilities. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people don't understand what I or others go through, how the anxiety really affects me. If you're dealing with anxiety and you've experienced panic attacks, feel free to share your experience in the comments below. But for me personally, in relation to my disabilities and this stupid tumor, I really need to mention the anxiety factor. Let me be clear, not knowing where sound comes from, I am, no exaggeration, I am like shocked, I'm startled every day, several times a day. Quite often by very mundane things that you two hearing, double hearing people, your brain tells you in like a millisecond, nothing to worry about, no danger, that was just a truck driving by on the road. But I shit you not, me, every day, good day, bad day in regards to vertigo, headaches, or whatever. This deafness in the one ear, it really is an anxiety causer. I feel the effects of the because I heard something, but I don't know what it is, and I have no clue where it came from. Those little innocent, sometimes silly zaps of stress, of shock, that sometimes I even giggle at, because they end up being stupid things that scared me. I just want you to know they have a long-term effect. They are exhausting, and I feel the effect of all those little zaps all day long. And lastly, also anxiety related, also something I don't generally enjoy talking about. I've had what I guess in fairness could be described as possibly slightly paranoid moments where it's just like this fear that because of my disabilities I could be viewed as a target because I'm weaker or because I look drunk. And because of that, fairly often I don't feel so comfortable in many group, social, public situations. Not often. You know, with all that time where like this eye wasn't closing and so I couldn't really like, you didn't see right, that eye would dry out and I'm not hearing, it's like there's this block here in my awareness of my world. I feel like when I say I'm deaf in one ear, a lot of people just like glide over it like it's nothing. And I'm here to say that it's not nothing. It can completely cause anxiety. I feel the effects of that often. And I just want other people to know that, take that into consideration, because knowing is half the battle. And I hope that in the coming months, I'm gonna find out a little bit more about where I am here in my stupid tumor journey. And of course, I'm gonna share it with you, so we're gonna find out. You see, because this 3-year temporary retirement that I was put into in order to heal should be coming to an end in January. I will probably have to go to all kinds of doctors, all kinds of appointments, and get checked out. See not just how I'm doing, but am I able to work again? And I'll tell you, my dear viewers, I'm eager to have these discussions with my doctors. Not just about my disabilities, but about my abilities and my future and the possibility of me standing on my own 2 feet and being able to financially support myself. Boy, I would really like that, and I plan on taking you all with me. Make sure that you're subscribed and ring that bell so you get notifications. Don't forget you can click the join button, support this channel, and get members-only videos. Learn more about what's going on behind the scenes. I really do appreciate every single one of you and all of your support. Some of you have been here since the beginning, and you've been with me through some hard times. You've heard about my struggles. I really hope in the near future I'm bringing at you more good news. Don't you think that's just what this channel needs? A little turnaround? Disabled foreigner girl gets her life together? I've got a lot of hope that better days are coming, and I do hope that you're right there with me. I also hope that you don't forget to click like, and know that until those better days come, or until my next video, I hope that you're over there taking care of yourself.